Hello friends. Have you ever wondered what kind of soul is born on March 10th? This isn't just another Pisces we're talking about, this is a March 10th soul. A spirit carved from intuition, mystery, and purpose. People born on this day aren't just dreamers floating through life, they're architects of emotion, warriors of subtlety, and seekers of deeper meaning. If that sounds a bit poetic, good, because March 10th individuals are poetry in motion. So, if you're born on this date, or if you know someone who is, get comfortable. We're about to unfold a deep astrological and esoteric profile that covers love, marriage, sex, friendship, business, dark traits, and life purpose. Plus, we'll tap into the numerology of 10, the wisdom of the Druids, Vedic astrology, and even flower and stone symbolism. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, the planet of dreams, illusions, intuition, mysticism, and spiritual yearning. It's the 12th and final sign of the Zodiac, symbolizing completion, integration, and the subconscious ocean of all human emotion. For most Pisces individuals, life is a dream that spills into their waking hours, but for those born specifically on March 10th, this imaginative depth is paired with a sharp intellect and a drive to contribute something meaningful to the world. This date brings a unique blend of visionary thinking, deep emotional intelligence, and a quietly intense willpower that surprises even those close to them. March 10th Pisceans are not the archetypal drifters of their sign. Instead, they are directed dreamers, people who possess the same poetic soul as any Pisces, but with a keener understanding of the real world's demands. They often feel like old souls, tuned into spiritual wavelengths, but still keen on making a tangible impact here and now. Their emotional radar is always on, reading rooms, detecting moods, and sometimes absorbing more than they can handle. This gives them an edge in social situations, business, creative projects, and almost every emotionally charged setting. They are governed by water, the element of intuition and emotion, but their particular current runs deep and wide. They love to dive into the psychological and spiritual, often seeing people and situations not just for what they are, but for what they could become. This makes them gifted mentors, artists, therapists, and visionaries. But it also makes them susceptible to disappointment, as their idealism can sometimes cloud their judgment. The dual nature of Pisces, the fish swimming in opposite directions, is particularly strong here. March 10th people are constantly moving between worlds, the inner and outer, the logical and emotional, the personal and universal. They're the friend who will text you a meme and a profound philosophical insight in the same breath. They may look peaceful on the surface, but internally they are navigating emotional complexities that most wouldn't even begin to understand. They thrive in spaces where creativity and compassion meet, whether they are creating art, leading a cause, or simply helping someone through a tough time. Their motivation is almost always emotional fulfillment. This does not mean they are impractical, far from it. March 10th Pisceans can be extremely productive, especially when they are emotionally invested in a project or person. But they need their work and relationships to mean something. They are allergic to the superficial. It's this combination of soul and savvy, of feeling and functionality, that defines a March 10th Pisces. They are more grounded than they appear, more ambitious than they let on, and far more complex than most give them credit for. They are not simply passive dreamers. They are emotional architects, quietly shaping the world around them with empathy, insight, and often, mystery. Love. Love for a person born on March 10th is not a casual experience, it is a cosmic one. These individuals approach romance like spiritual alchemy, wanting not just connection, but transformation through union. They aren't content with surface-level attraction. They crave the kind of love that rewires both hearts involved. For them, love is a sacred contract between souls, not a transactional relationship. That's why they often dream of their soulmate years before they meet them, or idealize a person into someone they're not. They fall deeply, quickly, and often with full emotional vulnerability. Love to them is an all-or-nothing game. They rarely, kinda, like someone. They're either fascinated or indifferent. And when they are fascinated, it shows in every text, glance, and gesture. They'll want to know your favorite childhood memory, your greatest fear, and whether you believe in past lives, all before the second date. Intimacy, to them, is not built, it's discovered. But this intense romantic gravity comes with its risks. March 10th lovers can become consumed by their feelings, projecting their fantasies onto real people. They see what could be rather than what is. This idealism can lead to heartbreak when reality doesn't match the dream they've built in their head. Still, when their affection is returned with honesty and presence, they become fiercely loyal and endlessly nurturing partners. In relationships, they are affectionate, tender, intuitive, and emotionally generous. They anticipate their partner's needs and often provide comfort without being asked. Their love language is often emotional availability, offering a safe space for vulnerability. But they do need verbal and emotional affirmation in return. Without it, they start to doubt themselves and may spiral into withdrawal or quiet resentment. Communication in love is essential for them. Not just the words spoken, but the energy behind them. If a partner says, "I love you," but doesn't act it, they'll sense the discrepancy. And it'll haunt them. That's why honesty, even when uncomfortable, is better than vague niceties. March 10th individuals crave truth and connection, not perfection. They are most compatible with signs that understand emotional depth, Cancer and Scorpio for their shared intensity, Taurus for grounding their dreaminess, and Capricorn when there's enough emotional trust to soften that earth sign's stoicism. They may struggle with fire signs like Aries or Sagittarius unless there's mutual effort to balance the impulsive with the introspective. Over time, their relationships often become spiritual partnerships, where growth is the ultimate goal. They believe love should elevate both partners. And when it does, they become radiant, creative, and more alive than ever. But if love becomes routine, cold, or transactional, their spirit wilts. In summary, love for a March 10th Pisces is a sacred journey, not just a status. They want to feel their way through it, explore it, lose themselves in it, and eventually, find themselves more whole because of it. Marriage. For individuals born on March 10th, marriage is never just a legal union or a social milestone, it is a spiritual and emotional covenant. They don't marry for appearances, for convenience, or to check a box on life's to-do list. They marry because their soul recognizes something essential in another person, something sacred that mirrors their own deepest truths. That's why they often take marriage seriously even before they get married. Long before rings or vows, they begin weaving emotional bonds that feel just as binding. For a March 10th person, commitment starts with energy, long before contracts. They need a partner who can embrace the full spectrum of who they are. That means someone who doesn't just tolerate their mood swings or imaginative tangents but celebrates them. Their ideal spouse is emotionally intelligent, spiritually curious, and capable of deep conversation. Someone who understands that silence can be sacred and vulnerability isn't a flaw but a gift. They require gentle honesty, not blunt criticism. Support, not control. Encouragement, not condescension. If their emotional depths are mocked or minimized, they'll begin to retreat emotionally, even while still physically present. Creativity plays a major role in their vision of a lasting union. These people want to build a life that feels like art, colorful, meaningful, filled with texture and experience. Whether it's through travel, creative collaboration, spiritual rituals, or even raising a family in a uniquely expressive way, March 10th folks see marriage as a canvas. A place to co-create something no one else could replicate. Mundane routines and hyper-structured lives can feel suffocating to them. While they can adapt to responsibility, they need freedom within the relationship, space to imagine, dream, and sometimes even disappear into their inner world before returning fully present. Emotional safety is paramount. March 10th partners want to know that they can reveal the rawest parts of themselves and still be met with compassion. When they find that kind of partner, they flourish. Their intuition sharpens, their creativity expands, and their love deepens. But when that safety is compromised, when a partner is emotionally withholding, dishonest, or dismissive, these individuals may slowly drift away. And not just emotionally, they may escape into work, fantasy, or even secret emotional worlds to cope. They're not confrontational by nature, but silence with them can mean much more than it appears. They rarely lash out when something's wrong. Instead, they internalize, and that can become corrosive over time. That's why open, ongoing communication is essential. Not just check-ins about bills or chores, but real conversations about dreams, fears, doubts, and desires. In strong marriages, March 10th individuals are affectionate, romantic, nurturing, and loyal. They remember anniversaries not just with gifts, but with heartfelt gestures. They'll write notes, surprise their partner with thoughtful moments, and make intimacy a priority in small daily acts. They are the partner who will notice when your energy shifts, who will comfort you without needing to be asked, and who will try to understand you when you can't understand yourself. Their ideal spouse is someone who evolves alongside them. Because growth is vital for a March 10th marriage. If the relationship becomes stagnant, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, they may unconsciously start looking for that vitality elsewhere. Not always in another person, but in escapist habits that remove them from the relationship altogether. This doesn't mean they're disloyal, it means they need meaning and motion in their marriage to feel alive. Their most compatible long-term matches are with people who value the inner life as much as the outer one. Partners who aren't afraid of emotional depth, who won't judge them for crying during a movie or needing space to recharge, who understand that sometimes a sigh carries more weight than a sentence. These are the people March 10th individuals can build forever with. Marriage for them is also a journey of healing. It's where they learn to let someone truly see them and accept them, not despite their complexity, but because of it. When they find that, they don't just love deeply, they love better every year. Their marriage becomes a living thing, something nurtured with care and imagination, not just kept alive by duty. And if nurtured right, their love becomes something rare, soulful, creative, enduring, and wholly transformative. Sex. Sex for someone born on March 10th is an experience that transcends the physical. To them, intimacy is not simply about pleasure, although they are fully capable of delivering and enjoying that. It is also a gateway to emotional fusion, energetic alignment, and even spiritual awakening. Their sexuality is poetic and immersive, a dance of souls as much as bodies. They don't just want to touch your skin, they want to understand your shadows, your longings, your hidden fire. Foreplay doesn't start in the bedroom for them, it starts in the mind, in the heart, and in the space between moments. A look across a room, a vulnerable conversation, a hand on the back of the neck during a walk, these subtle exchanges light them up far more than overt seduction. That's because emotional connection is the foundation of their arousal. If they feel seen, safe, and cherished, they are capable of opening themselves completely. But if there's tension, dishonesty, or emotional disconnection, sex can feel robotic or even repellent to them. They are incredibly intuitive lovers. Often, they can sense what their partner wants before a word is spoken. They tune in to energy, body language, and emotional cues that others might miss. This makes them adaptable and deeply responsive in bed. Their goal isn't just their own satisfaction, it's mutual elevation. They take pleasure in giving pleasure, in creating an experience that feels sacred and unforgettable. They are also experimental, but not for novelty's sake. If something new is introduced in the bedroom, it must be grounded in trust, curiosity, and mutual desire. Consent is sacred. They aren't thrill seekers for the sake of adrenaline. They're seekers of depth, of intensity that means something. They're not afraid of kink, roleplay, or dominance, submission dynamics, as long as it's about deeper connection and not just ego gratification. Dirty talk? Absolutely, but it needs to be emotionally authentic. If it feels like an act or forced, they'll disengage. But if it's raw, vulnerable, or taps into a deeper truth, it can be incredibly powerful. They're often more turned on by emotional honesty than by explicit words alone. Whisper something real to them, something you've never said to anyone else, and you've just lit their soul on fire. Sex with a March 10th individual is rarely rushed. They appreciate slow build-ups, extended foreplay, and a sensual atmosphere. Lighting, sound, scent, and mood all matter. They may light candles, play music, or even bring spiritual rituals into their intimate life, not out of pretense, but because these things enhance presence. They want the moment to feel like a sacred pause from the outside world. But let's not confuse sacred with sterile. They can also be raw, primal, and emotionally intense lovers. When their walls are down and the connection is strong, their passion is profound. Their emotions flow freely during sex, whether that's laughter, tears, or just a deep, soul-shaking stillness afterward. It's not unusual for them to hold their partner close afterward, breathing in sync, feeling more whole for having shared something that defies language. However, if the emotional bond is broken, if they feel objectified, disrespected, or emotionally manipulated, they can detach entirely. Their libido is directly tied to their heart. When the heart closes, so does the body. This can be confusing for partners who mistake them for being too sensitive or moody, when in reality, they're simply protecting their most sacred self. At their best, they offer a level of sexual intimacy that most people dream of but rarely experience. They don't make love the same way twice. Each encounter is new, shaped by the energy of the moment, the mood, and the emotional temperature. They're not about routines or formulas. They're about exploration, surrender, and connection that leaves both partners emotionally high long after the physical moment has passed. In short, sex with a March 10th person is never just sex. It's communion, it's storytelling through touch, it's emotional alchemy, and once you experience it, you don't forget it. Because it's not just about the act, it's about the feeling, the meaning, and the soul behind it. Friendship. Friendship for someone born on March 10th is not a casual connection. It is a sacred bond formed through emotional resonance, trust, and soul-level understanding. These individuals are not the kind of people to form instant, best friendships with everyone they meet. In fact, they tend to be quite reserved and cautious when it comes to letting people in. They may appear social, warm, or even chatty in groups, but their true friendships are rare, deeply rooted, and often last for years, even lifetimes. A March 10th person can have a wide circle of acquaintances, admirers, and collaborators, but only a select few make it past their emotional filters. That's because they intuitively sense when someone's energy is off or intentions are shallow. You can't fake authenticity with them. They pick up on unspoken motives, emotional undercurrents, and subtle shifts in tone. It's not paranoia, it's perception. Their inner radar is highly sensitive, and it's one of the reasons they protect their hearts so carefully. To be considered a true friend by someone born on this day, you must show up with consistency, emotional honesty, and a willingness to meet them in their world, where imagination, vulnerability, and depth are daily visitors. They crave conversations that go beyond, "How's work?" They want to talk about dreams, fears, memories, the meaning of life. They'll remember the small things you said weeks ago, check in when you're quiet, and offer empathy that feels like a warm blanket. March 10th individuals often find themselves in the role of the emotional anchor in their friend groups. They're the ones people call at 2 a.m. when everything's falling apart. They give advice not from a place of ego, but from a sincere desire to help others heal. They intuitively know when to offer words and when to just listen. Their friends often describe them as the one who just gets it, and they often carry the emotional weight of others with grace and quiet strength. But this ability to be there for others can become a trap if not balanced. These Pisces are naturally giving, but they're also human. When their generosity isn't reciprocated, when they feel taken for granted, dismissed, or used, they don't usually explode in anger. Instead, they withdraw, sometimes slowly, almost imperceptibly. They begin responding less. They cancel plans. They go quiet, not out of spite, but as a self-preservation mechanism. When a March 10th person disappears emotionally, it's often because they've been emotionally drained without replenishment. That's why mutual vulnerability is essential in their friendships. They don't want perfection, they want presence. Someone who can sit with them in silence, hold space for their sadness, and celebrate their joy without competition. They thrive with friends who understand that sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's a superpower. That emotions aren't dramatic, they're data. That depth isn't heavy, it's necessary. They often have a few close friends rather than a large circle. And those few, they're treated like family. Loyalty runs deep. March 10th individuals will defend, support, and show up for their friends in ways that surprise others. They'll write a heartfelt message on your worst day. They'll fly across the country for a funeral. They'll remember your dog's name and your biggest insecurity, and never weaponize either. Their ideal friendships are soulful, inspiring, and creatively enriching. They may form intense bonds with fellow artists, spiritual seekers, or people who've endured hardship. Shared experiences of transformation often become the glue in these friendships. Their connections are rarely superficial. Even the fun friends often come with an emotional or spiritual component. Trust is everything. Break it, and it's hard, sometimes impossible, to rebuild. They might forgive, but they rarely forget. Betrayal hits them harder than most because they don't open their hearts easily in the first place. When they do, they expect you to protect what they've given, not exploit it. In friendships that are balanced, March 10th people become magnetic forces of support and inspiration. They will nurture your dreams, cry with you through heartbreaks, and encourage you to grow in ways you never thought possible. They aren't just friends, they are mirrors, healers, and gentle warriors of connection. Business career. At first glance, you might not peg someone born on March 10th as a business powerhouse, but underestimate them, and you'll miss a quietly brilliant, emotionally strategic, and often visionary individual who is more capable than they appear. While they may not lead with ego or pushy ambition, they possess a remarkable combination of intuitive intelligence, creative thinking, and people-reading skills that make them uniquely valuable in any professional setting. March 10th individuals are not driven solely by money, titles, or status. They are motivated by meaning. They want their work to feel purposeful, impactful, and aligned with their values. That's why they often gravitate toward careers where they can help others, express themselves creatively, or contribute to something larger than themselves. They're not interested in punching a clock or climbing a ladder just for prestige. They want to build something that matters. Creativity is a defining trait in their professional life. Whether they work in art, music, design, therapy, or even marketing, their minds are wired to think in images, emotions, and narratives. They can take abstract ideas and give them form. They're often excellent storytellers, brand strategists, or content creators because they understand how to connect emotionally, whether with an audience, client, or team. They see patterns where others see noise. They find depth where others see data. But don't let the dreaminess fool you. March 10th individuals can be extremely pragmatic when the situation demands it. Their emotional intelligence gives them an uncanny ability to read a room, sense tension before it erupts, and negotiate with grace. They know when to speak and when silence will say more. This makes them outstanding in leadership roles, especially in people-centered organizations or missions that require compassion-driven strategy. What they cannot tolerate, however, is micromanagement, rigid bureaucracy, or soul-dead work environments. If their job becomes too mechanical or emotionally barren, their energy and health will suffer. They may begin to show up late, miss deadlines, or quietly detach from the work entirely. It's not laziness, it's a sign their spirit isn't engaged. For March 10th professionals, burnout doesn't look like exhaustion. It looks like numbness. They flourish in roles that offer flexibility, creative freedom, and the chance to contribute ideas. Many eventually move into freelance work, consulting, or starting their own business, especially if they feel stifled by traditional 9-to-5 environments. Entrepreneurship often suits them because they can build a brand or service around their values and intuition. Think wellness coaches, holistic therapists, filmmakers, nonprofit founders, designers, or spiritual advisors. Still, they do benefit from some structure, especially if paired with the right collaborators. Teaming up with someone more grounded or technically skilled can be a powerful combo. March 10th people often come up with the vision and emotional framework, while their partners or team members execute the details. They are idea people, but when properly supported, they can be brilliant executors, too. Their biggest challenge in the professional world is learning to assert themselves. Because they avoid conflict and dislike ego battles, they can be overlooked or undervalued if they don't speak up. That's why confidence, boundaries, and self-advocacy are vital skills for them to develop. Once they do, they become unstoppable, able to blend kindness with authority and creativity with clear direction. They are especially fulfilled in careers that allow for personal evolution. They don't want to be the same person in 5 years, and they don't want their work to stay the same either. Careers that offer growth, change, travel, or emotional resonance are ideal. If they can help people and express themselves, they will never burn out. In summary, March 10th individuals are quiet visionaries in the workplace. They may not demand attention, but they command respect, through insight, empathy, and a relentless dedication to making their work reflect their soul. Whether they're behind the scenes or in the spotlight, they're there to create meaning, not just output. And in a world driven by metrics, that makes them rare and invaluable. Dark side. Let's not sugarcoat it. Every sign, no matter how gentle or wise, carries a shadow. And for Pisces, especially those born on March 10th, that shadow is not only rich and complex but also quietly dangerous when left unchecked. While they often move through the world with compassion and beauty, their dark side is shaped by the same gifts that make them extraordinary. Their depth becomes drowning, their empathy becomes entrapment, their imagination becomes illusion, their longing for love becomes an inability to let go. The same emotional ocean they draw power from can just as easily pull them under. Escapism is one of their most well-worn coping mechanisms. March 10th individuals can drift into alternate realities, not just in their minds but in behavior. When life feels too hard, too harsh, too hollow, they may seek refuge in fantasy, fiction, or even toxic habits. This might manifest as binge watching, excessive sleeping, overworking, compulsive social media scrolling, or more dangerously, substance use. The line between retreat and avoidance is paper thin for them. Because they feel everything so deeply, sometimes they choose not to feel at all. Overly idealistic thinking is another shadow that haunts their relationships. March 10th individuals don't just love people, they build myths around them. They see potential, not patterns. They believe in the best-case version of someone, even when all the red flags are waving. And when reality finally catches up, the crash is brutal. They feel betrayed, heartbroken, sometimes even ashamed. But what really broke their heart was the illusion, not the person. Learning to see clearly, without idealizing or demonizing, is one of their greatest life lessons. Emotional manipulation, though rarely malicious, can be a subtle part of their dark repertoire. When they don't feel heard or validated, they might play the victim card or resort to guilt-tripping, often unconsciously. Their emotions are powerful, and they know it. When backed into a corner, they may use tears or silence as weapons, not to control, but to be understood. Still, this pattern can corrode trust in relationships if not acknowledged and transformed. They must learn to ask directly for what they need, rather than hoping their pain will speak for them. Indecision can also plague them. Their minds are full of possibilities, and their hearts are often in conflict with logic. As a result, they can become paralyzed when faced with important choices. They might procrastinate not out of laziness, but from genuine fear of making the wrong move. They second-guess themselves constantly, and if they do make a choice that leads to disappointment, they're especially hard on themselves. This pattern can stall growth, opportunities, and even relationships. Trusting their intuition, and accepting that no path is perfect, is a key part of their healing journey. The martyr complex is perhaps one of the most insidious aspects of their shadow. March 10th individuals give, and give, and give. They'll sacrifice their own time, energy, even dreams for the sake of others. And when those sacrifices go unnoticed or unappreciated, they stew in quiet resentment. They may not say anything out loud, but it festers. The truth is, no one asked them to give that much. They must learn the difference between genuine generosity and codependent self-erasure. Healthy boundaries don't diminish their love, they protect it. Another hidden danger is their tendency to internalize blame. If something goes wrong, they often turn inward. It must be me. This reflex can lead to shame spirals, emotional shutdowns, or even depression. Because they see themselves as emotional barometers in relationships and environments, they often assume responsibility for the way others feel. This self-blame can become a deep pit if they don't learn to separate empathy from accountability. Their intuitive nature can also twist into paranoia when they're not grounded. They may start assuming things, believing a friend is upset without proof, or fearing betrayal that hasn't occurred. They'll create whole emotional narratives in their minds, reacting to situations before they've even happened. This emotional forecasting comes from anxiety and past wounds, not reality. When this goes unchecked, it can sabotage healthy relationships and feed isolation. There's also a seductive element to their own sadness. March 10th individuals can become attached to their wounds, almost romanticizing their suffering. They may identify so strongly with their pain that healing feels like losing a part of themselves. This wounded healer archetype is powerful but dangerous. Pain is a teacher, but it is not meant to be a home. So, how do they manage this vast, nuanced shadow? The answer is not to escape it, but to explore it. Therapy, creative expression, self-inquiry, and grounded spiritual practice are their lifelines. Art, music, dance, journaling. These are not hobbies, they're medicine. Setting emotional boundaries, practicing discernment in relationships, and surrounding themselves with grounded, compassionate people can help them rise from the depths. Their shadow isn't something to be ashamed of, it's a compass. It points to the places where growth is most needed. And when March 10th individuals do the work of healing, they become not only whole, but radiant. Their light becomes more authentic, their compassion more sustainable, and their intuition more powerful than ever before. Life purpose. The life purpose of someone born on March 10th isn't just a career, a role, or a path, it's a soul-level mission. These individuals come into this world with a quiet, almost secret knowledge that they are meant to touch something deeper. They may not always know how, and the path may feel unclear for many years, but the internal pull toward meaning is ever present. They are not here just to succeed, they are here to feel, to heal, to express, and to awaken. At their core, March 10th individuals are emotional alchemists. They take pain and turn it into empathy. They take confusion and shape it into creativity. They take silence and turn it into understanding. Whether through music, painting, writing, parenting, counseling, performance, design, or even business, their life purpose is to transform the intangible into something that nourishes the human experience. They are natural bridges between the logical and the emotional, the spiritual and the practical, the seen and the unseen. Their sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's a diagnostic tool. They read what's not being said. They sense what's missing. They often find themselves drawn to roles where they can help others navigate complexity. Therapists, coaches, spiritual guides, artists, healers. Even if their career isn't overtly emotional, they bring emotional intelligence to every room they enter. Life for them is full of spiritual awakenings. Some are gentle, like an unexpected terror during a sunset or a dream that lingers all day. Others are volcanic, loss, heartbreak, breakdowns that bring them face to face with their shadow. But every initiation brings a layer of insight, and every hardship adds a brushstroke to their soul's masterpiece. They rarely move through life in a straight line. Their path spirals, loops, pauses, and often takes them inward before it moves outward. Many March 10th individuals wrestle with the sense that they're too sensitive for this world. But that sensitivity is precisely what gives them access to truth, beauty, and depth. Their purpose often involves helping others feel again, to soften, to awaken, to reconnect with parts of themselves they've buried. Whether they're painting murals, writing songs, leading meditation, running a nonprofit, or simply loving someone well, March 10th people are vessels for emotional awakening. They are also here to create, not just art, but environments, communities, experiences, relationships. They are builders of emotional ecosystems, spaces where authenticity, vulnerability, and magic can coexist. They are the ones who design a business that feels like a family, a home that feels like a sanctuary, or a friendship circle that feels like a lifeline. Their creativity is not for show, it is for survival, for healing, and for evolution. Connection is also a central theme of their purpose. They are meant to connect people to each other, to their own hearts, to the divine. They may act as mediators, matchmakers, or simply as the glue in fractured families or groups. Their presence alone has the power to make people feel safe enough to be real. They are often the emotional centers of their communities, even if they don't seek the spotlight. Ultimately, their life purpose is to feel fully alive creatively and love without fear. But that journey requires work. They must learn to protect their energy, to trust their instincts, to say no, and to choose relationships that fuel rather than drain them. They are not here to fix everyone. They are here to inspire change by becoming whole within themselves. When they embrace their truth, honor their wounds, and follow the quiet music of their soul, they become powerful forces of healing and creativity. And even if they never go viral or achieve worldly fame, they will have done something far more important. They will have left every person, space, and soul they've touched more alive than they were before. Numerology, the power of 10/1. In numerology, numbers are more than digits, they are archetypes, ancient symbols that reflect the blueprint of a soul's journey. The number 10, assigned to those born on March 10th, carries a potent fusion of beginnings, potential, spiritual energy, and karmic responsibility. This number is not simple. It holds two extremes within it, the bold, blazing 1, and the mysterious, infinite 0. 1 represents self, 0 represents everything and nothing. Together, they form a number that speaks of cosmic cycles, inner transformation, and personal power born from faith. Let's start with the number 1. This is the leader, the initiator, the pioneer. People carrying the vibration of 1 are meant to forge their own path, not follow others. They are often called to go first, to lead teams, launch businesses, build new systems, or carve out innovative ways of being. These individuals don't feel comfortable in settings that require blind conformity. Even if they appear quiet or humble on the surface, there is always a voice inside them saying, "I know there's a better way." They thrive on independence and require the space to test their ideas, challenge the norm, and walk boldly, even when no one else follows. Now add the energy of 0. This is where things get deeply spiritual. In numerology, the 0 is not a void, it's a circle of infinite potential. It amplifies the number that precedes it and represents connection to divine intelligence, universal wisdom, and the unseen forces guiding human evolution. People with a 10 vibration are born with an innate connection to something greater than themselves, whether they name it God, source, intuition, or energy. This gives them an edge in creative and spiritual endeavors but can also make them feel untethered or overwhelmed in overly logical environments. Together, the 10 creates a soul contract for rebirth and reinvention. March 10th individuals are often born into lives where things don't come easily at first. They may struggle with confidence, identity, or direction early on. They might feel different from those around them, unsure of where they belong. But this is part of their path. These early challenges force them to develop inner strength, emotional resilience, and a voice that is unmistakably their own. One of their lifelong lessons is self-trust. Because they often receive intuitive nudges before there's any tangible proof, they must learn to listen to their inner knowing, even when it makes no sense to others. Whether starting a new project, leaving a job, ending a relationship, or making a major life pivot, they are frequently called to leap before they see the net. The more they trust this voice, the more aligned their lives become. The more they ignore it, the more stuck or resentful they feel. These individuals are also natural teachers, whether formally or informally. Through their experiences of starting over, they often accumulate wisdom that becomes invaluable to others. They are excellent mentors, guides, and innovators, not because they've had it easy, but because they've earned every insight through real struggle and growth. Their wounds often become their wisdom. Leadership is part of their destiny, but it doesn't always look traditional. Some will run companies. Others will lead through activism, art, spiritual teachings, or even parenting. What matters is that they are living from their core truth, not someone else's script. When aligned, they are dynamic, magnetic, and inspiring. When misaligned, they may feel lost, bitter, or prone to blaming others for their unhappiness. There's also an ongoing theme of reinvention. People born on the 10th rarely stick to one identity for life. They change jobs, cities, relationships, belief systems. Not because they're flaky, but because their soul is always evolving. They must learn to embrace change as part of their superpower, not fear it. They are here to shed old skins and rise again, stronger, clearer, and more authentic each time. Another important lesson for 10s is the art of boundary setting. Because of the amplifying power of 0, their energy fields are often vast, meaning people are drawn to them, sometimes with unrealistic expectations. March 10th individuals must be careful not to become everyone's savior, helper, or fixer. They must learn to discern between generosity and self-abandonment. Otherwise, they risk draining themselves dry in the name of being a good person. When balanced, the 10/1 vibration is unstoppable. It carries the charisma of leadership, the creativity of the divine, and the emotional depth of a soul who's walked through fire and come out shining. March 10th individuals with this number are not here to fit in. They are here to break molds, to shine their light, to start over when needed, and to remind the world that every ending is just the beginning of something even more real. Druid Tree Horoscope, Weeping Willow. In the Druidic tree astrology system, a Celtic wisdom tradition rooted in nature, myth, and ancient energy cycles, those born between March 1st and March 10th fall under the mystical influence of the weeping willow. And few trees could better reflect the emotional grace and psychic depth of a March 10th soul than this one. The willow is a symbol of intuitive wisdom, emotional flow, creative sensitivity, and sacred mystery. To be born under its shade is to carry the legacy of the dreamer, the healer, and the keeper of unspoken truths. Willow people are deeply empathetic, often from a very young age. They absorb moods, unspoken tensions, and atmospheric shifts like a tuning fork. If someone in the room is upset, even if no words are exchanged, they'll feel it in their body. This sensitivity can feel like both a gift and a curse. It makes them incredible listeners, artists, and caregivers, but it also leaves them vulnerable to emotional overwhelm if they don't learn how to protect their own energy field. Their emotions run deep, not just like a stream, but like an underground river. On the surface, they may seem composed or quietly expressive, but underneath they are feeling everything in high definition. Love, grief, longing, joy, it all pulses through them with intensity. That's why creative expression is essential to their well-being. Whether through writing, music, painting, or dance, they must have an outlet to pour those unspoken feelings. Creativity for the willow soul isn't a luxury, it's a survival skill. One of the willow's greatest strengths is its flexibility. In nature, the willow tree bends with the wind without breaking. It adapts, it flows. March 10th individuals carry this trait in their emotional lives. They are remarkably resilient, even when life throws curveballs. They may cry, retreat, and grieve, but then they regrow. They reinvent, they return. Their strength lies in softness, not rigidity. Willow people often have strong psychic or intuitive abilities. Many report prophetic dreams, uncanny gut instincts, or a natural ability to read others. They may be drawn to tarot, astrology, energy healing, or other metaphysical arts, not necessarily for show, but because these tools help them make sense of the energy they feel every day. For them, the veil between worlds is thin. However, their challenge is staying grounded. Because they are so emotionally open and spiritually porous, they can become disoriented, exhausted, or even depressed when they take on too much of the world's pain. They need grounding rituals, walks in nature, salt baths, creative practices, or even mundane tasks like cooking and cleaning, to return to their bodies. Otherwise, they may float too far into the emotional ether. They are deeply loyal to those they love and will go to great lengths to nurture, protect, and heal their close circles. But betrayal or harshness cuts them deeply. More than most, they need emotional safety to truly blossom. If their tenderness is dismissed or mocked, they close like a flower in winter. But when nurtured and appreciated, they open fully, revealing layers of compassion, insight, and creativity that few others can match. Weeping willow souls are also highly connected to the lunar cycle. Their moods often mirror the moon, waxing with creative energy during crescents and feeling introspective or raw during full moons. Tracking moon phases or aligning their activities with lunar energy can help them maintain emotional balance and clarity. Another trait of willow-born individuals is their ability to see hidden beauty. They often fall in love with things most people overlook: the way light hits dust, the sound of rain on a window, the sadness in a stranger's eyes. This gives them a rich inner life and a sense of wonder that remains even as they grow older. But it can also make them feel disconnected from a world that values surface over substance. In relationships, they seek soul-level bonds. They don't want just a partner. They want a mirror, a muse, a companion who understands their silences as much as their words. Shallow or transactional relationships leave them cold. They need depth, magic, and emotional reciprocity. In summary, the weeping willow is not a tree of sorrow, it's a tree of soulfulness. March 10th individuals born under this sign are here to remind us that emotions are not weaknesses, but wisdom. That beauty lies in the hidden corners. That softness is strength, and that even when life bends you low, you can still rise again, graceful, radiant, and rooted in something far deeper than the world can see. Vedic Astrology, Pisces, Meena Rashi. In Vedic astrology, also known as Jyotish Shastra, the birth of a person on March 10th typically places them under Meena Rashi, or the Pisces moon sign. While Western astrology emphasizes the sun sign, Vedic astrology gives precedence to the moon, which governs emotions, inner nature, and the subconscious self. Being born under Meena Rashi infuses a person with immense emotional depth, spiritual sensitivity, and a subtle magnetism that can't be easily defined, but is always felt. Meena Rashi is ruled by Jupiter or Guru, the planet of wisdom, spiritual growth, and expansion. In this context, Jupiter doesn't just represent academic knowledge, it symbolizes Dharma, righteous living, inner truth, and cosmic guidance. For someone born on March 10th, this means that life is not just about survival or success, it's about understanding the why beneath everything. These individuals are often called old souls because of their natural inclination to reflect, to care, and to search for meaning beyond the material world. People under Meena Rashi are naturally drawn to meditation, devotional practices, nature, music, poetry, and compassionate service. Many have artistic talents or intuitive healing abilities they don't even fully understand at first. They may hum melodies as children that seem ancient, dream in color, or sense the emotions of people they barely know. This is not coincidence, it's cosmic wiring. Their gift lies in their sensitivity, which, in the Vedic context, is seen as a bridge to the divine. These individuals often gravitate toward spiritual teachers, sacred texts, and practices like mantra chanting, prayer, yoga, or astrology itself. Their connection to spirit is not necessarily religious but deeply experiential. Even without formal training, they often speak in metaphors, feel guided by signs, and possess an intuitive awareness of unseen realities. Dreams, omens, synchronicities, these are everyday occurrences to a Meena Rashi soul. Their compassion runs deep. A March 10th individual may feed stray animals, volunteer without recognition, or weep at the suffering of strangers. This isn't performative, it's cellular. In Vedic terms, they're here to dissolve the ego's boundaries and remember the interconnectedness of all things. This is why many Meena natives end up in service-based professions: teachers, nurses, spiritual counselors, caregivers, artists, or humanitarians. But every light has its shadow. For Meena Rashi individuals, their beautiful sensitivity can become a curse if not balanced. Their intense emotional currents can lead to escapism, a tendency to avoid reality through fantasy, substances, sleep, or endless entertainment. When the world feels too harsh, and it often does, they may retreat into the safer, softer realms of their inner imagination. While creativity can be healing, unchecked escapism only delays the soul's growth. Another challenge is emotional dependency. Because they bond deeply, March 10th individuals can sometimes place their happiness in the hands of others. They may become overly attached to a partner, friend, or teacher, forgetting that their true source of fulfillment lies within. This can lead to cycles of disappointment, heartbreak, or feelings of unworthiness. Vedic teachings often encourage such souls to focus on Atma-jnana, self-knowledge, as a way to reclaim their emotional autonomy. There is also a risk of laziness or passivity, not out of entitlement, but because of their inclination toward non-confrontation. They may avoid conflict, delay decisions, or stay in situations too long just to avoid hurting someone's feelings. Jupiter gives them wisdom, but also a tendency to believe things will work out without taking clear action. When they align that faith with conscious effort, they flourish. But when they drift into inertia, they may miss important life opportunities. Ritual, routine, and grounding are crucial for their growth. Simple Vedic practices, like chanting a daily mantra, waking before sunrise, or spending time near water, can help stabilize their energy. Wearing yellow Jupiter's color, keeping a spiritual journal, or observing fasts on Thursday's Jupiter's Day are also considered auspicious for Meena natives. When they are in alignment, these individuals radiate peace and quiet strength. They don't need to be the loudest voice in the room because their presence does the talking. They make others feel safe, understood, and inspired, not because they lecture, but because they live from the heart. In relationships, they are loving, forgiving, and often self-sacrificing. But they must remember that love isn't just about giving, it's also about receiving. Their karmic lesson is often to set boundaries, speak their truth, and recognize that being nice is not the same as being true. Their soul's growth depends on this distinction. Vedic astrology teaches that Meena Rashi natives are here to evolve from illusion to enlightenment, from emotional chaos to spiritual clarity. For someone born on March 10th, this means that life is less about becoming something new and more about remembering who they've always been. A conduit for compassion, a vessel of vision, and a quiet healer in a noisy world. Flower horoscope, daffodil. The flower associated with March 10th is the daffodil, and there's no more perfect botanical symbol for this beautifully complex soul. At first glance, the daffodil is simple, even cheerful. It bursts through the last snow of winter, often the first bloom of spring, bringing with it the promise of renewal, hope, and light. But the more you look, the more it reveals a trumpet-shaped blossom that calls attention not just to beauty, but to awakening. For someone born on March 10th, the daffodil mirrors their inner resilience. Just like this flower rises after a long season of darkness, March 10th individuals carry an innate ability to bounce back from emotional winters. They don't just survive, they rise, and often stronger, wiser, and more compassionate than before. Their warmth isn't surface-level sunshine, it's hard-earned. It comes from having felt the cold and choosing to blossom anyway. The daffodil also symbolizes creativity. With its bold color, unique shape, and early arrival, it doesn't wait for permission to express itself, it simply is. March 10th individuals are much the same. Whether they write, sing, paint, dance, design, or create through conversation and connection, they express the soul's voice in a way that is unmistakably their own. Even if they don't consider themselves artistic, their approach to life is filled with poetry. They make ordinary moments feel magical. They infuse emotion into the mundane. They don't just talk, they evoke. Another message of the daffodil is hope, not blind optimism, but soul-deep belief that even after loss, there is light. March 10th individuals are often a source of emotional support to others, offering comfort during hard times. They may not always know what to say, but they have a way of simply being that makes people feel less alone. Their presence is like spring itself, subtle, healing, and quietly revolutionary. Yet, daffodils also carry an important lesson: even beauty needs roots. March 10th individuals are often so tuned into the emotional and spiritual realms that they forget to ground themselves. Just like a daffodil cannot thrive without healthy soil, these souls need structure, support, and self-care in order to fully blossom. That means honoring their physical body, setting emotional boundaries, and surrounding themselves with people who respect their sensitivity instead of exploiting it. There's also a quiet boldness to daffodils. They don't scream for attention, but they command it. They stand tall in soft winds and uncertain weather. March 10th people share this strength. They may not be loud leaders, but they are influential. Their integrity, empathy, and creativity make them unforgettable. Like the daffodil, they don't ask for the spotlight, but once they bloom, everyone notices. In mythology, daffodils are often linked to rebirth and transformation, particularly in Greek legends involving Narcissus. While that myth is commonly associated with vanity, a deeper interpretation reminds us of the need for self-awareness. March 10th individuals must balance their emotional giving with self-recognition. They must see themselves clearly, not through the eyes of others, but through the lens of truth and self-worth. Only then can they offer their gifts without losing themselves. In relationships, the daffodil's message is also poignant. Beauty must be met with nourishment. March 10th people give love freely, but they flourish only when that love is mutual, respectful, and rooted in shared values. Just like daffodils return each year, they are loyal, dependable, and cyclical in their emotional rhythms. They love deeply, but they must be loved well. Ultimately, the daffodil reminds us that gentleness is strength, and that even the smallest bloom can brighten an entire landscape. March 10th individuals carry that same quiet power. With their mix of color, hope, intuition, and heart, they don't just walk through life, they transform it, one soulful step at a time. Birthstone, aquamarine. Aquamarine, the luminous birthstone for those born on March 10th, is more than just a gem, it's a spiritual companion. Its name, derived from the Latin words aqua water and marina of the sea, immediately evokes images of crystal clear waters, tranquil depths, and healing tides. That symbolism is no coincidence. Aquamarine is a stone of emotional clarity, inner peace, and energetic purification, perfectly matched to the soul journey of March 10th individuals, who often carry stormy emotions beneath their serene exteriors. For someone born on March 10th, life is felt through emotion, intuition, and subtle energy shifts. They are constantly taking in the world through their senses, hearts, and dreams. This can be a gift, but also a burden. Aquamarine steps in like an energetic balm, softening emotional spikes and helping them return to center. Its vibration is cooling, clarifying, and deeply calming, especially for those who sometimes feel consumed by waves of anxiety, sadness, or internal chaos. One of aquamarine's most powerful effects is its influence on the throat chakra, the energetic center linked to communication, truth, and self-expression. March 10th individuals often struggle with voicing their true feelings, especially when those feelings might upset someone or disturb the peace. They may opt for silence over conflict, or water down their truth to keep others comfortable. Over time, this habit can lead to resentment, confusion, or emotional shutdown. Aquamarine helps clear this blockage, gently encouraging them to speak with clarity, compassion, and confidence. This doesn't mean it turns them into argumentative people. It simply strengthens their ability to express what needs to be said, without fear of judgment or rejection. It invites them to believe that their voice matters, that their truth is valid. That clarity isn't the enemy of love, it's the foundation of it. Aquamarine is also considered a stone of spiritual protection. In ancient times, sailors carried it for safe passage across dangerous waters, believing it was a gift from sea goddesses. That symbolism applies to March 10th individuals, who often feel like they're navigating emotional oceans most people can't even see. The stone acts as a talisman of safety during emotional storms, helping them stay grounded in their intuition rather than drowning in doubt. It also enhances inner vision. For a March 10th soul, intuition is like a second language, something they're born with but may struggle to trust fully. Aquamarine sharpens their inner sight, helping them distinguish between fear-based thoughts and true inner knowing. It supports meditation, dream work, journaling, and other spiritual practices by quieting mental chatter and amplifying their soul's voice. In this way, it becomes more than just a stone, it becomes a spiritual ally. Energetically, aquamarine works best when worn close to the skin. A pendant near the heart or throat is ideal, as it resonates with both emotional clarity and vocal expression. In moments of overwhelm, simply holding the stone or placing it over the chest can bring noticeable calm. Many March 10th individuals report that aquamarine feels like coming home to themselves, a return to inner peace when the world becomes too loud. There's also something poetic about its color. The soft, shifting blues of sea glass, glacier melt, or early dawn skies. These hues echo the emotional and creative palette of March 10th souls. They are artists of emotion, painters of dreams, and intuitive beings drawn to the liminal spaces between thoughts and feelings. Aquamarine reflects their energy, fluid, deep, reflective, and ever-changing. Importantly, aquamarine also teaches emotional detachment, not in the cold or distant sense, but as a healthy release. March 10th individuals often hold on too long, to past wounds, to people they've outgrown, to stories that no longer serve them. Aquamarine encourages them to let go with love, to forgive, to release, to stop replaying emotional tapes that only keep them stuck. It shows them that peace is a choice, and that clarity often arrives when we stop clinging to confusion. In relationships, aquamarine helps them navigate difficult conversations with grace. In career, it strengthens their ability to pitch ideas, lead teams, or establish boundaries. In healing, it calms their nervous system, opens their hearts, and reminds them that they don't need to carry the weight of the world alone. Its quiet wisdom whispers, "Be still, listen, speak your truth, and let the waters carry the rest away." Ultimately, aquamarine is not just their birthstone, it's their energetic mirror. A March 10th person lives like water, deep, intuitive, shaped by emotion but capable of incredible strength. This stone helps them return to that truth when they forget. It helps them remember who they are, not just a dreamer, not just a healer, but a soul whose clarity and calm can ripple outward in profound, life-changing ways. Final thoughts. A person born on March 10th is more than a Pisces, more than a mystic, more than a seeker. They are, at their core, a living bridge between heart and mind, spirit and body, dream and reality. There's something about them that feels ancient, even if they're young. They carry the weight of emotion with the grace of someone who's lived many lifetimes. They're quiet warriors of compassion, defenders of beauty, and architects of meaning in a world that too often forgets its own soul. This isn't a life built around speed or surface-level success. It's a life defined by depth, by intuition, by the slow, sacred unfolding of truth. A March 10th soul often walks a path that others don't understand, not because it's wrong, but because it's real. They are here not to conform, but to remember, to feel the world as it is, and then to help shape it into what it could be. They are the artist who paints with emotion, creating work that makes others feel seen. The healer who listens not just with ears, but with energy. The entrepreneur who doesn't just chase profit, but leads with purpose and people-first vision. The friend who shows up when no one else does. The lover who knows your silence better than your words. The dreamer who dares to believe that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life. Their power lies in their contradictions, strong but soft, visionary but grounded, empathetic but wise. They feel like water, but inside, they are fire. Not a roaring blaze, but a slow, eternal flame, one that warms everyone lucky enough to stand near. And maybe, that's you. Maybe you're the one reading this because you're finally ready to see your own magic, your own worth, your own voice. If so, let this be your reminder. You were born for more than fitting in. You were born to awaken others, simply by being fully, authentically yourself. So if you're lucky enough to be born on March 10th, or love someone who is, don't take that connection lightly. These people are rare. They are mirrors. They are muses. They are medicine. And more than anything else, they are needed. Now more than ever. If you loved this kind of deep dive profile, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and check out the links in the description for more exclusive content. You're not just a sun sign, you're a whole cosmic story. And we're just getting started.